I want to start with a number: 60%. That is the proportion of the average adult diet in the United Kingdom and the United States that now comes from ultra-processed food. In some age groups, it is higher. For teenagers in the US, it exceeds 70%. Ultra-processed food is not just junk food. It is not just crisps and sweets. It includes breakfast cereals, flavored yogurts, protein bars, diet drinks, sliced bread, instant noodles, flavored nuts, packaged soups, and most things that come in a box, a foil pouch, or a resealable bag with an ingredient list longer than this sentence. The definition used by researchers is precise. Ultra-processed food is any product that has been industrially manufactured using ingredients and processes that would not be used in home cooking: emulsifiers, artificial flavors, color enhancers, modified starches, hydrogenated oils, and preservatives designed not to keep food fresh, but to extend shelf life, enhance palatability, and make the product as appealing as possible to the human reward system. For 60 days, I removed all of it, every single category. I replaced it with whole foods: meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruit, legumes, whole grains, dairy, nuts, and seeds. Nothing that came in a package with more than 5 ingredients. Nothing that contained an ingredient I could not picture in its natural form. I did not go on a diet. I did not count calories. I did not change my exercise habits. I changed only what I ate. In this video, I am going to take you through what happened week by week, and I am going to explain the science behind every change, not my opinion, not wellness influencer advice, peer-reviewed research from Nature, the Lancet, Harvard Medical School, the NIH, and published clinical trials. Facts only. Stay until the end. Because the change in week 8 was the one I did not expect at all, and the science behind it is genuinely extraordinary. Before we go any further, I want to be precise about what we are talking about, because most people massively underestimate how much ultra-processed food they consume. The classification system used by researchers is called NOVA, developed by nutritional epidemiologist Carlos Monteiro at the University of São Paulo. It divides all food into 4 groups based on the extent and purpose of processing. Group 1 is unprocessed or minimally processed food: raw vegetables, fresh meat, eggs, plain milk, dried legumes, plain nuts, fresh fruit. Group 2 is processed culinary ingredients: olive oil, butter, flour, salt, sugar used in cooking. Group 3 is processed food: cheese, canned fish, cured meats, bread made with simple ingredients. These involve some processing, but remain recognizable. Group 4, ultra-processed, is where the science gets alarming. Ultra-processed foods are formulations made mostly or entirely from substances extracted from foods: fats, starches, sugars, proteins, or derived from food constituents like hydrogenated oils and modified starches, or synthesized in laboratories like flavor enhancers, colorings, emulsifiers, and preservatives. They are designed to be hyper-palatable, meaning they trigger your brain's reward system more intensely than any food that exists in nature. They are engineered to create a specific sensory experience, the exact right ratio of fat, salt, and sugar that makes you want to keep eating past the point of fullness. Common ultra-processed foods most people do not realize are ultra-processed: flavored yogurts with fruit compote, commercial breakfast cereals including so-called healthy ones, most sliced bread from supermarkets, protein bars and meal replacement shakes, instant oats with flavoring, canned soups with additives, flavored rice cakes, diet sodas and flavored sparkling waters, most plant-based meat alternatives, and virtually all fast food, regardless of how it is marketed. Once I applied the NOVA classification properly, I realized my diet was significantly more ultra-processed than I had believed. That is the first thing most people discover. Before I describe what happened in my body, I need to explain why the first week was so difficult. Because if you understand this, everything else makes sense. Ultra-processed food activates the brain's dopamine reward system. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and reinforcement. It is the same system activated by addictive substances including cocaine, alcohol, and nicotine. NIH researcher Ashley Gearhart found that some of the same brain circuitry turns on when we crave drugs as when we crave ultra-processed foods. Her research found that ultra-processed food may lead to compulsive consumption, where people have difficulty cutting back even when they want to, mirroring the behavioral profile of addiction. A 2025 analysis found that more than 85% of high ultra-processed food consumers met clinical criteria for food addiction, including symptoms like cravings, withdrawal, and loss of control. When I stopped, I experienced what researchers now classify as withdrawal. This is not a metaphor. In a study of 231 adults who reduced ultra-processed food consumption, participants reported sadness, irritability, tiredness, and intense cravings peaking between days 2 and 5, then tapering off. The timeline mirrors the withdrawal pattern of tobacco and alcohol cessation. Days 1 through 5 were genuinely the hardest. Headache, fatigue, intense craving, not for a specific food but for a particular kind of stimulation, the hyperpalatable flavor profile that whole food simply does not replicate. My brain was recalibrating its dopamine threshold. That process is uncomfortable, but it is temporary. The research shows that by day 21, roughly 80% of cravings have resolved. By 60 days, taste preferences fundamentally reset. Foods that previously tasted bland begin to taste complex and satisfying. The engineered flavors of ultra-processed food begin to taste artificial. By the end of week 1, the withdrawal symptoms had begun to ease. And by week 2, I noticed something I had not expected. My digestion changed. Bloating that had been so constant, I had stopped noticing it began to clear. Digestive discomfort that I had attributed to stress or dairy or eating too quickly resolved. What I had normalized as just how my body worked turned out to be a response to the ultra-processed food I had been consuming. The science explains this precisely. A February 2025 peer-reviewed study found that ultra-processed foods are associated with a decrease in microbial diversity, lower levels of beneficial bacteria including Akkermansia, Mucinifera, and Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, and an increase in pro-inflammatory microorganisms. These alterations contribute to persistent inflammation associated with metabolic syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and colorectal cancer. Your gut microbiome, the ecosystem of approximately 38 trillion bacteria living in your digestive tract, is one of the most important systems in your body. It regulates immune function, nutrient absorption, inflammation, and through the gut-brain axis, it directly influences your mood, cognition, and mental health. Ultra-processed food systematically damages this ecosystem. Emulsifiers, chemical compounds added to improve texture and extend shelf life, have been shown in experimental studies to alter the gut microbiome and increase gut permeability. A permeable gut lining allows bacterial components to enter the bloodstream, triggering systemic inflammation. Here is the critical fact about your gut microbiome. It can respond to dietary changes in as little as a few days. Within 72 hours of removing ultra-processed food and increasing fiber intake from whole plants, the composition of your gut bacteria begins to shift. Within 60 days, research shows gut microbiome diversity can increase by 30 to 40%. The bloating cleared because the emulsifiers and artificial additives that had been disrupting my gut lining were gone. The beneficial bacteria, starved by a low-fiber, additive-rich diet, had fiber to eat again. The ecosystem was rebuilding. By week 3, my energy stabilized, not increased dramatically, stabilized. The 3 p.m. crash that had been part of my daily experience for years simply did not happen. This is one of the most consistent findings reported by people who remove ultra-processed food, and the mechanism is well understood. Ultra-processed food is typically high in refined carbohydrates with a high glycemic index, meaning it causes rapid spikes in blood glucose followed by equally rapid crashes. These crashes trigger cortisol release, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and cravings for more high-sugar food to restore blood glucose levels. It is a cycle, and it is self-reinforcing. An analysis of 6,517 Canadian adults published in Harvard Health 2025 found that participants consuming the highest amounts of ultra-processed food had significantly higher blood glucose instability, insulin levels, and blood triglycerides than those consuming the lowest quantities, even after controlling for other lifestyle factors. Whole foods, particularly those high in fiber, protein, and healthy fats, release glucose slowly and steadily. This produces stable, sustained energy rather than spikes and crashes. The pancreas does not have to produce repeated insulin surges. The adrenal glands do not have to compensate with cortisol. The brain receives a consistent glucose supply rather than a feast and famine cycle. By week 3, my blood glucose was almost certainly stabilizing. My body had adjusted to using slow-release whole food energy rather than quick-burn processed carbohydrates. The afternoon crash is not inevitable. It is in large part a dietary phenomenon. By week 4, my skin had visibly changed. I had not altered my skincare routine. I had not started taking supplements. I had changed nothing externally. The connection between ultra-processed food and skin health operates through 2 primary mechanisms: inflammation and the gut-skin axis. Chronic systemic inflammation, driven by gut dysbiosis, gut permeability, and the pro-inflammatory food additives in ultra-processed food, manifests on the skin. Conditions including acne, eczema, psoriasis, and rosacea all have inflammatory components. Reducing systemic inflammation reduces the inflammatory signaling that drives these conditions. The gut microbiome directly communicates with the skin microbiome through shared immune pathways and circulating inflammatory markers. Dysbiosis, imbalance in gut bacteria, has been consistently associated with increased incidence and severity of inflammatory skin conditions. Restoring gut microbiome diversity reduces systemic inflammatory markers, including CRP and IL-6, both of which are associated with skin inflammation. The second mechanism is more direct. High blood glucose, produced by the refined carbohydrates in ultra-processed food, triggers a process called glycation, where glucose molecules bond with proteins in the skin, including collagen and elastin. This accelerates structural skin aging, reduces skin elasticity, and contributes to a dull, uneven complexion. Removing ultra-processed food reduces blood glucose volatility. Glycation slows. And with a more diverse, thriving gut microbiome producing short-chain fatty acids that reduce systemic inflammation, the skin benefits become visible within weeks. At the 6-week mark, I weighed myself. I had lost approximately 4 kilograms. I had not counted a single calorie. I had not deliberately reduced my food intake. I had eaten until I was satisfied at every meal. This is one of the most replicated findings in ultra-processed food research, and the mechanism is important to understand, because it reveals something fundamental about how ultra-processed food causes weight gain that has nothing to do with willpower. A 2025 randomized controlled trial published in Nature Reviews Endocrinology showed the harmful effects of ultra-processed foods on weight gain and metabolic health, regardless of excessive caloric intake. This is significant. Weight gain from ultra-processed food occurs even when total calories are matched. The food composition itself, not the calorie count, drives the metabolic effect. NIH research confirmed that during periods when participants ate fewer ultra-processed foods, they naturally consumed fewer calories and lost weight, including total and abdominal body fat, and showed meaningful improvements in insulin sensitivity. The first mechanism is caloric density, combined with hyperpalatability. Ultra-processed food is engineered to override your satiety signals. It is soft, easy to eat quickly, low in fiber and protein per calorie, and formulated to make you want more, even when you have consumed enough. The second mechanism is hormonal. Ultra-processed food disrupts leptin and ghrelin, the hormones that regulate hunger and fullness. People who consume high levels of ultra-processed food consistently show elevated ghrelin and reduced leptin sensitivity. The food makes you biologically hungrier. The third mechanism is cortisol. Blood glucose spikes and crashes trigger cortisol release. Chronically elevated cortisol causes the body to preferentially store fat in the abdominal region, not because of caloric excess, but as a hormonal stress response. When I removed ultra-processed food, my satiety hormones normalized. I naturally ate fewer calories without trying to. My cortisol levels dropped. My body stopped preferentially storing abdominal fat. The weight loss was a hormonal and metabolic correction, not a restriction. This is the section I mentioned at the beginning, the change I did not anticipate. By week 8, my anxiety was measurably lower. I want to be careful here because mental health is complex and individual. I am not claiming that removing ultra-processed food is a treatment for anxiety disorder. What I can say is that the background level of anxiety I experienced, the low-level hum of worry and tension that I had assumed was just my baseline, was quieter. Noticeably, consistently quieter. When I looked into the research, I understood why. A large BMJ review found that diets with high levels of ultra-processed foods were associated with an increased risk of depression, anxiety, and sleep problems. The Journal of Affective Disorders found that rates of depression were 80% higher in people whose diets included large amounts of ultra-processed foods. Approximately 90% of the body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter most closely associated with mood regulation, is produced in the gut, not the brain. Its production depends on a healthy, diverse gut microbiome. Ultra-processed food depletes the bacterial species responsible for serotonin precursor production. It increases populations of pro-inflammatory bacteria. The resulting gut dysbiosis reduces serotonin synthesis. It also increases systemic inflammation. And inflammation is now understood to be a significant driver of both anxiety and depression. There is a second mechanism. Ultra-processed food causes blood glucose volatility. Low blood sugar, which occurs after a glucose crash, directly causes anxiety symptoms, heart palpitations, difficulty concentrating, a generalized sense of unease. Many people experiencing these symptoms attribute them to stress or anxiety disorder, when they are in fact a metabolic response to blood glucose instability. Stabilize blood glucose through whole food eating, and many of those symptoms resolve. By week 8, my gut microbiome had had 60 days to rebuild. My blood glucose had stabilized. My systemic inflammation had reduced. The combined effect, more serotonin, less inflammation, stable blood glucose, produced a measurable reduction in baseline anxiety. I did not expect this. The research predicted it. I want to zoom out briefly and share the long-term research, because the 60-day changes I experienced are significant, but they are small compared to what the data shows about sustained ultra-processed food consumption over years and decades. Tracking over 63,000 adults, researchers found that high consumption of ultra-processed food significantly increased cardiovascular risk. People consuming more than 4 servings of ultra-processed food daily showed a 62% increased risk of all-cause mortality compared to low consumers. Ultra-processed food consumption has been linked in large-scale population studies to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, colorectal cancer, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, and all-cause mortality. These findings are published in Nature, the Lancet, the BMJ, and the New England Journal of Medicine. A May 2025 study found that people who eat more ultra-processed foods, including cold breakfast cereal, cookies, and hot dogs, are more likely to have early signs of Parkinson's disease. The 2025 to 2030 United States Dietary Guidelines, released on January 7, 2026, explicitly recommended eating less ultra-processed food for the first time in the history of US dietary guidance. That is a significant moment. Government nutrition policy, historically reluctant to name specific food categories, directly acknowledged that ultra-processed food as a category poses a health risk. This is not alarmism. It is the scientific consensus, arrived at slowly, cautiously, over decades of research. I want to be practical, because I know that simply being told ultra-processed food is harmful is not enough. The question is what to do about it, especially when ultra-processed food is convenient, affordable, and designed to be irresistible. Here is exactly what I replaced and with what. Breakfast, out. Flavored yogurt, commercial cereal, instant oats with flavoring, protein bars. In, plain, full-fat yogurt with fresh fruit, whole rolled oats cooked with water and topped with nuts and honey, eggs in any form, fruit with a small amount of cheese or nut butter. Lunch, out, packaged sandwiches, instant soups, meal deal snack combinations, flavored rice cakes. In, homemade soups prepared in batches, salads built on leafy greens with protein and olive oil dressing, whole grain bread with simple ingredients topped with tinned fish or eggs, legume-based dishes. Dinner, out, ready meals, jarred sauces with additives, frozen convenience meals, fast food. In, simple whole ingredient cooking, protein with roasted vegetables, grain bowls with legumes, fish with olive oil and herbs. Batch cooking on Sundays to reduce weekday friction. Snacks, out, crisps, biscuits, chocolate bars, flavored nuts, protein bars, flavored popcorn. In, plain nuts, fresh fruit, plain dark chocolate above 80% cocoa, boiled eggs, raw vegetables with hummus made without additives. The key principle: I did not try to find ultra-processed substitutes for ultra-processed food. I changed the category entirely. Whole food replacements for manufactured food replacements. The first 2 weeks required planning. By week 4, it required very little. By week 8, it was automatic. Taste preferences had genuinely shifted. The ultra-processed foods I had previously enjoyed tasted, objectively, over-engineered. I want to be honest about what 60 days without ultra-processed food is and is not. It is not a cure. It is not a weight loss program. It is not a wellness trend. It is a removal of a category of food that the scientific literature, across hundreds of peer-reviewed studies, multiple Lancet series, NIH research, and now official government dietary guidance, has identified as consistently, measurably harmful to human health. What I experienced in 60 days, the gut changes, the energy stabilization, the skin changes, the weight normalization, and the reduction in anxiety, are not anecdotal. Every single change has a well-established mechanistic explanation backed by published research. I experienced what the research predicted. The question I get asked most is, was it worth it? Here is my honest answer. The first week was hard, the second week was manageable. By week 4, I stopped missing ultra-processed food. By week 8, I did not want to go back, not because of discipline or ideology, but because the difference in how I felt was clear enough that returning to a diet built on ultra-processed food would have felt like a deliberate choice to feel worse. That is not a marketing statement. That is what happened. If you found this video useful, please subscribe. I publish new videos every week on health and well-being, and everything I cover is science-backed. Next week's video is the one many of you have already asked for, exactly what I ate in a day across the 60 days. Every meal, every ingredient, and why. And if this video changed how you think about one food in your diet, drop it in the comments. I read every single one.